In the quiet suburbs of Sydney, Australia, where the sun-kissed beaches hide darker undercurrents of human frailty, a young woman named Renae Marsden lived a life that seemed ordinary on the surface. Born in 1993, Renae was the epitome of youthful vibrancy, 20-year-old with an infectious smile, a passion for her family, and dreams that stretched as far as the ocean horizon. She worked at a local retail store, surrounded by the chatter of customers and the hum of everyday life. But beneath her cheerful exterior lurked a vulnerability that would soon be exploited in the most sinister way imaginable. Renae's world revolved around her tight-knit family. Her mother, Teresa, was her rock, a woman who had raised her with unwavering love and support. Renae was close to her siblings too, sharing laughs and secrets in their modest home. But like many young adults navigating the complexities of identity and relationships, Renae was exploring her sexuality. She had come out as gay to her family, a revelation met with acceptance. Yet it opened doors to new emotional landscapes, ones ripe for manipulation, by those who prey on trust and longing. It was in this phase of self-discovery that Renae first encountered what she believed to be her soulmate. Through the glowing screen of her phone, a mysterious figure named Braden Spiteri entered her life. Braden presented himself as a charming, rugged young man, tall, with tattoos that spoke of a rebellious spirit, and a backstory that tugged at Renae's heartstrings. He claimed to be in a motorcycle gang, adding an edge of danger that thrilled her. Their conversations started innocently enough on Facebook, evolving into endless text messages filled with flirty banter, shared dreams and promises of a future together. But unknown to Renae, Braden was no more real than a ghost in the machine. Lurking behind the facade was her supposed best friend, Camilla Zidane, a woman who had been part of Renae's life for years. Camilla, with her own tangled web of insecurities and jealousies, had crafted this elaborate illusion. Why? The motives were as twisted as they were cruel, a toxic blend of control, obsession, and perhaps an unrequited desire that festered in the shadows. Camilla used burner phones and fake profiles to maintain the deception, weaving a narrative that ensnared Renae deeper with every ping of her phone. As the months turned into nearly 2 years, the relationship between Renae and the fictional Braden intensified. He professed undying love, sending messages that made Renae's heart race. "You're my everything, babe. Can't wait to hold you." They planned meetups that always fell through, Braden citing gang troubles or accidents that left him hospitalized. Renae, blinded by infatuation, believed every excuse, her hope turning into a desperate ache. She confided in her friends and family about this perfect guy, sharing screenshots of their chats, unaware that the puppeteer was sitting right beside her. Camilla, under her real identity, played the role of the supportive best friend masterfully. She listened to Renae's gushing tales, offered advice, and even pretended to help track down Braden when doubts crept in. But in private, Camilla's texts as Braden grew more possessive, demanding Renae's undivided attention and isolating her from others. Subtle manipulations crept in, guilt-tripping her for spending time with family, accusing her of infidelity and fabricated scenarios. The horror was in the subtlety. It wasn't overt violence, but a slow poison seeping into Renae's psyche, eroding her self-worth. Renae's family began to notice changes. Her once bubbly personality dimmed. She became withdrawn, her eyes often glued to her phone, waiting for the next message that could either uplift or shatter her. Teresa, sensing something amiss, urged Renae to meet Braden in person, but the excuses piled up like storm clouds. "He's in the hospital again," Renae would say, her voice laced with worry. Little did she know the hospital visits were Camilla's alibis, drawn from her own life to add authenticity to the lie. The deception deepened when Braden proposed marriage via text, sending Renae into a whirlwind of joy mixed with anxiety. She dreamed of a life together, perhaps leaving Sydney for a fresh start. But Camilla, pulling the strings, introduced conflict, arguments, over trivial matters that escalated into emotional blackmail. Braden would threaten to leave, only to return with apologies that hooked Renae back in. This cycle of highs and lows was a classic trap, designed to break down her resilience, turning love into a weapon of control. By now, the horror of the situation was unfolding in real time. Though Renae remained oblivious, Camilla's jealousy festered. She couldn't bear Renae forming bonds outside her influence. As Braden, she pushed boundaries, suggesting intimate acts and sharing, fabricated photos, images stolen from the internet to maintain the illusion. Renae's trust was absolute. Her vulnerability laid bare in responses that poured out her soul. Friends whispered concerns, but Renae defended her online lover fiercely. "You don't understand. He's real," she'd insist, her voice cracking under the strain. The isolation grew. Social outings became rare as Braden's demands consumed her. Camilla, ever the confidant, fueled the fire by subtly undermining Renae's confidence in person while building her up as Braden. The turning point loomed as the manipulation escalated. Braden began hinting at darker thoughts, self-harm, suicide if Renae ever left him. These messages planted seeds of guilt and fear, wrapping around Renae's mind like invisible chains. She started experiencing anxiety attacks, her sleep haunted by nightmares of loss. Teresa watched helplessly as her daughter's light faded, unaware of the monster hiding in plain sight. In the dead of night, as Sydney's city lights flickered like distant warnings, Renae's phone buzzed incessantly. As the deceptive romance spiraled into darker territories, Renae Marsden found herself trapped in a vortex of emotional turmoil. The fictional Braden, orchestrated by Camilla Ziden, began weaving threats of suicide into their conversations, claiming that life without Renae was unbearable. "If you leave me, I'll end it all," the messages read, each one a dagger twisting in Renae's compassionate heart. She spent sleepless nights pleading via text, begging him to seek help, unaware that these cries echoed back to her manipulator, who relished the power. Camilla, in her dual role, amplified the horror during their real-life interactions. As the best friend, she feigned concern, suggesting Renae give Braden space while secretly fueling the chaos through anonymous phones. The inquest later revealed how Camilla used multiple devices to maintain the facade, switching SIM cards like a shadow thief in the night. Renae's anxiety peaked. She confided in her mother about Braden's hospital stays after alleged accidents, fabrications drawn from Camilla's own life to blur the lines between reality and lie. The obsession deepened when Braden proposed a future together, complete with wedding plans that Renae eagerly sketched in her journal. Visions of a beach ceremony under Sydney's stars filled her days, but the dream soured with escalating arguments. Braden accused her of disloyalty, demanding proof of her love through intimate photos and constant check-ins. Renae's world shrank to the glow of her screen, her social life crumbling as isolation set in like a fog over the harbor. Teresa Marsden watched her daughter's transformation with growing dread. Renae's laughter faded, replaced by tear-streaked calls in the middle of the night. "He's threatening to hurt himself again," she'd whisper, her voice hollow. Family interventions fell flat. Renae defended Braden fiercely, blinded by the manipulated bond. Camilla, ever the chameleon, joined these discussions, offering hollow sympathy while plotting the next twist. The catfishing scheme reached fever pitch. In the summer of 2013, Braden's messages turned coercive, pressuring Renae into decisions that clashed with her values. Hints of running away, abandoning her family. When doubts surfaced, Camilla as Braden gaslit her relentlessly. "You're crazy for thinking I'm not real." Evidence from the coronial inquest exposed how these tactics mirrored classic abusive patterns, eroding Renae's self-esteem until she questioned her own sanity. Friends noticed the red flags, unmet promises, inconsistent stories, but Renae's trust in her soulmate held firm. Camilla's jealousy boiled beneath the surface. Witnesses later testified to her possessive outbursts, claiming Renae belonged to her. The horror lay in the intimacy of the betrayal, shared secrets weaponized, vulnerabilities exploited in a game of control. As August dawned, the illusion cracked under pressure. Braden announced a month-long silence, leaving Renae in agonizing limbo. She bombarded him with messages of love and despair, her mental health fracturing. Camilla, reveling in the fallout, prepared the final blow, a breakup text designed to shatter. In the quiet hours before dawn, Renae's phone lay silent, a harbinger of the storm to come. The web of deceit tightened, pulling her toward an abyss from which there was no return. The true monster wasn't a stranger online, but the friend who smiled while sharpening the knife. In the wake of Renae Marsden's tragic leap into eternity, Sydney's underbelly stirred with whispers of foul play. The police arrived at the Marsden home that fateful evening, their words a hammer blow. Renae had been found at the base of the Gap, a notorious suicide spot overlooking the crashing waves of the Pacific. Her body, broken and lifeless, bore no signs of struggle, only the silent testimony of a soul pushed beyond endurance. Teresa collapsed in anguish, her cries echoing through the night like a siren's wail, while the family grappled with the incomprehensible loss of their vibrant daughter. The funeral was a somber affair, shrouded in rain that mirrored the tears of mourners. Camilla Zidon attended, her face a mask of feigned sorrow, offering condolences that dripped with hypocrisy. She hugged Teresa, whispering platitudes about Renee's troubled heart all while the digital ghosts of her deception lingered on servers and phones. But suspicion brewed. Renee's final text to Braden, unanswered and accusatory, raised eyebrows among investigators. Who was this elusive boyfriend no one had met? The investigation unraveled slowly, like peeling back layers of decayed flesh. Police traced Braden's phone numbers, burner SIMs purchased anonymously, but linked to locations Camilla frequented. Digital forensics experts delved into metadata, uncovering IP addresses that pointed back to her devices. Screenshots from Renee's phone revealed patterns, messages sent during times Camilla was with her, alibis borrowed from Camilla's own medical records. The horror dawned. Braden was a phantom, conjured by the one person Renee trusted most. Camilla's arrest came like a thunderclap in 2014, charged initially with fraud, but escalating to more sinister implications. Interrogations exposed her web. Over 11,000 texts exchanged. A meticulously crafted persona designed to ensnare and destroy. Motives emerged in chilling clarity. Obsessive love twisted into possession. Jealousy over Renee's independence. A desire to keep her isolated and dependent. Camilla confessed fragments, claiming it started as a joke that spiraled out of control. But her lack of remorse painted a portrait of a sociopath hiding in plain sight. The coronial inquest in 2017 laid bare the full atrocity, a public dissection of the catfishing horror. Witnesses testified to Camilla's manipulative history, past relationships marred by control, friends alienated by her possessiveness. Experts in psychology described the scheme as emotional terrorism, a prolonged assault that weaponized affection into a lethal force. Renee's journals, read aloud, chilled the room, entries of ecstasy turning to despair, pleas for Braden's return that now screamed of entrapment. Renae Marsden took the stand, her voice steady despite the pain, demanding accountability. This wasn't love. It was murder by proxy, she declared, her words igniting media frenzy. The inquest recommended reforms, stricter laws against catfishing, mental health support for online victims. But Camilla walked free on lesser charges, a slap on the wrist that fueled outrage. No manslaughter conviction, only fines for telecommunications offenses, leaving the family haunted by injustice. Years later, the shadows persist. Teresa campaigns tirelessly, founding initiatives to educate on digital dangers. Her daughter's face a symbol in awareness videos. Renee was killed by lies, she says in interviews, her eyes reflecting unending grief. Camilla vanished into obscurity, rumored to have fled Sydney, but whispers of her online presence linger. A ghost account here, a suspicious profile there, preying on new vulnerabilities. The true crime community dissects the case endlessly. Podcasts recount the texts in eerie voiceovers. Documentaries replay the deception with dramatized scenes. Lessons echo. Verify online loves, heed red flags, trust instincts over screens. Yet, in the dead of night, as phones buzz with unknown notifications, Renee's story warns, the monster might be your closest friend, lurking in the pixels ready to drag you into the abyss. Renee's legacy endures in the fight against cyber predation. Australian laws evolved post-inquest, criminalizing coercive control in relationships, even virtual ones. But the horror remains visceral, a reminder that in our connected world, deception can kill as surely as a blade. As waves crash eternally at the gap, Renee's spirit calls for vigilance, lest more souls fall to the shadows of betrayal.